Library Board of Trustees regular is 27. Could I have roll call by Secretary Trustee?
Trustee Dooley,
Present.
Trustee Lawler, Trustee Messerneck,
Here.
Trustee Mishner,
Present, thank you.
Trustee Wood,
Here.
Trustee Yu, present. Student Representative Chang,
Here.
Student Representative Tangarella.
Here.
Thank you. All right, if we could do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance
To
to
the flag
the
Flag
of the
the
United
United States of America,
and to
to
the
the republic
for which it
for which
stands,
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with
liberty and
liberty and
justice
justice
for
for
all.
all.
I brought our little flag today. Right, so we can look over the approval and the overview of agenda on 1 through 4. And I think Julie, you had one change. I think.
If you look down at number 10, Treasurer's Report, A and B should read 2020, 2021 last year. It's the current year of 2021 for A and B.
Oh, perfect. Okay. Perfect. All right. And then we discussions, or could I have a motion to approve? Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right. This time, so I try not to skip. All right. Agenda approval of regular minute meetings from July 23rd.
I have one change. I had asked for that to be included, the equity packet. It wasn't included, and I just wanted to be included. That's all.
I do have a question about the presentation that you submitted. Should we put that, or was that just from Trustee Mishner? Was it the report was not whole committee prior submitted to the board? So I just wanted clarity. So
I mentioned in every meeting, and I literally have emails where I said, but the prettiness of it, the actual finished pretty project, I didn't submit that in, but everything in here, yes, everything that
report presented as a whole. To know the facts just so that it can be on the fact. Excuse me, Trustee Wood, Trustee Dooley, do you have anything to add, or do you want your name not to be included? I just wanted to make sure that it's properly, on the record. Or is it fine just to present it as is?
The material included a lot of discussions that were in the committee. I neglected to go back through our communications to understand and verify that it was going to be put into a report. But I don't see any issue with including the packet that was included in the packet going forward.
Trustee Wood, do you have anything to add, or?
I have no additional comments.
Okay, all right, so what we'll do is we'll put it in there from the committee prepared by Trustee Mishner. How does that sound?
That's fine.
Okay, just so we're clear. All All right, any other discussion about the minute from July or approval of claims and warrants? All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I
Any opposed? Trustee Messernack, Trustee Lawler, did you approve? I didn't hear you.
I said aye.
Sorry, okay. Trustee Lawler, you said aye. Okay, thank you. All approved. Thank you. With the Zoom, sometimes we're missing each other, so I just want to be clear. All right, number 6, correspondence, starting on page 21. They're also wonderful, Julie.
Page 21, thank you, President Augusta. The first one is to let you know that we were awarded some grant money from the CARES Act. This is from the Library of Michigan, the State of Michigan Department of Education. This has to be spent as of August 3rd, and it goes for 1 year through September. So we have a year that this money can be spent. $500 needs to be specifically spent on PPE purchasing, and then $5,000 needs to be spent towards technology. We will have no problem expending this amount. And we haven't received the check yet, but the information has been received. Barbara Cook will be working with me on the financials when it comes to this. Also, in relation to this, I took part in Oakland County's meeting today about the CARES Act money that's specific for Oakland County. And Barbara Cook has been working very closely with me to identify all the receipts and anything that's COVID related that we can get reimbursement on back to the library since March 1st through September 11th, which actually we have to turn our report in tomorrow. But she has been diligently working on these invoices and this very comprehensive report, which you have most of it in the packet tonight that I shared, but we're hoping to get some of that money reimbursed as well. So that was a very good meeting with Oakland County today. Any questions about this information? This was the max by Library of Michigan, the 5,500 that we could actually receive. So, well, based on what I knew what we would be paying for and what we thought we'd be purchasing. So we did get the full amount that I had requested, and then we'll move forward. On page 22, this is an email. It actually was from Lindsay Gochai to our state representative, Kathy Crawford from District 38. It's a thank you letter to Representative Crawford for the grants that were made possible through the Arts and Humanities Touring Program, which our library benefited from. As you can see, there was a quick response from Kathy's office, but then if you look on page 23, Kathy also wrote a personal response as well, and a thank you, and also her appreciation for the library and being able to participate in this. Any questions on that letter? Okay. Moving forward on page 23 towards the bottom, this is an email from Kathleen Doty regarding excellent customer service. It was attention to the support services department, which is here at the library. I think also the library in general can benefit from her wonderful words, but this is a very nice letter thanking us for the services and how much she's appreciated the library being back open. So I appreciate Kathleen Doty and her email. Following on to page 24, there is an email that Gail Anderson, programming coordinator, received from a program attendee, Sandy Bonavero. This was in regard to the Rich African American History of Detroit program. And as you can see, the thank you and the kudos for the presentation. I loved, she said the Zoom worked flawlessly. We always love to hear that because you know technology sometimes can be quite challenging, but also was the content as well. And we appreciate Sandy writing in this letter to Gail and Gail sharing it with me. And then just below that is an email on page 24 from a resident of Novi. The gentleman's name is Heinz Topol, a longtime resident and a friend of the library. And as you can see, he shares also his appreciation for the drive up. Any questions that I can answer at this time?
Julie, I had a quick question.
Yes, please.
With regards to the grant, I just wanted to clarify to the public what the money has to be used for, because it's very specific. So it's earmarked. It's not just extra funds for us to just spend. It's like very, very specific in terms of what we have to record. That's correct.
Yes, you are correct, Trustee Julie. It is specifically $500 for PPE related, which would be masks, cleaning supplies, gloves, things like that, of that nature. And then the 5,000 is specifically for technology that would allow us to connect with the community more. And we're hoping to be adding more hotspots, which is an internet connection for community members to check out.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you to everyone that wrote to us and gave us feedback. That's always nice to hear.
You're on mute, Melissa.
Sugar beans. Thank you for the wonderful letters from everybody. We like to hear great feedback. We do not have a presentation or special guest, and so it's time for student representative report.
So this is the July 2020 Library Board Student Representative Report by Tarun, myself, and Lindsay Kochai. So for the tween and teen library programs that were held in July, there was the Witches, Wizard, Potion, and Magic with Longway Planetarium, which was held on July 8th. And guests were able to participate in hands-on activities, which consisted of science projects, including building their own wand, and attendance was 22 people. There was also the Fossil Footprints and Fun with Paleo Joe, which was held on July 15th. Paleo Joe is a paleontologist, author, and a storyteller who introduced the guests to various animals, plants, and creatures that have been extinct for millions of years. And also guests were able to see some fossil casts. Attendance was 18 people. The Between the Pages Tween Book Club trivia was held on July 22nd. Guests read Disney After Dark by Ridley Pearson and answered trivia questions relating to the book. Attendance was 14 people. And finally, the Your Story is Important writing workshop with local author Supriya Kelkar was held on July 29th. And guests learned more about Kelkar's inspirations for writing her latest book titled American as Paneer Pie. And guests were also able to learn how to write their own stories through an interactive writing workshop where they practice how to be descriptive and building their own storytelling skills. And attendance was 17 people.
So in July, we had no update for the teen space. Our total breakdown for teen space numbers for this for the last school year, though, we had 3,359 total guests. The tab update, tab will resume again actually on Friday, September 18th, for the next school year. And at the upcoming tween and teen programs, we have the Teen Advisory Board meeting on September 18th, and the Between the Pages Tween Book Club trivia, which is September 23rd. And I'd like to add that the library is continuing to offer virtual programs in September. And that's it for our representatives.
Thank you both. Any questions or discussion? All right, thank you both. We'll see you guys in a month. Enjoy your new school year. Couple days.
Good luck, everyone.
Yes.
Yep, thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, President's report. The first one is our strategic objectives, which is on page 26. No changes to that, and our goal updates will be in October. Is that correct, Julie? Anything else?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Treasurer's report. Trustee Wood, please.
Okay, so I'm going to go through this, but we do have also the audited report. So this is, again, the approved budget for Fund 268 for fiscal year 2020 and 2021. You'll find that on pages 28 through 30. What we have approved for total revenues is $3,124,300 with the total expenditures of $3,221,824 with a plan of using $97,524 of the fund. For the amended budget, or for the budget for Fund 269 for fiscal year 2020-2021, you'll find that on page 31. We're looking at total revenues of $46,500 with total expenditures of $51,050, expecting to utilize $4,450 of the fund. On page 40, you'll see the revenue and expenditure report for Fund 268 as of August 27th, 2020. On page 40, July 31st, or as of July 31st, we had total revenues of $23,846 with expenditures of $213,701 with a net expenditure of $189,854. For the revenue and expenditure report for Fund 269, you'll find that on page 41. There's been no activity to date for that fund, zero in revenue, zero in expenditures. Our balance sheet report, as of August 27, 2020, you'll find on page 42, the ending fund balance for Fund 268 is $2,093,705. Page 43, you'll find the ending fund balance for Fund 269 is $1,712,224. Also, I want to point out, highlight within our board packet on page 32 through 35 is the approved budget from the city that was audited. So you'll have that in your records. And then on page 36 is the report, which are the numbers I just stated, but I verbally gave you the page numbers that all these numbers are on. So any questions? Did I get it right there, Barb? All right, 2 thumbs up, love it.
Any questions or, oh wait, sorry. Are you all set?
I'm all set if you're all set.
Awesome. Yeah, any questions or discussion? All right. Number 11, the director's report.
Okay, everybody. Page 45 is where actually 44 is where I will start. Just wanted to point out the COVID-19 expenditures. As of May 2020, we really didn't have anything go back to March, which the CARES Act is taking into consideration, but this is from May 2020 to August 2020 so far. Like I said, huge kudos to Barb, who is my bookkeeper. I'm going to say because she is mine, and has been working very hard putting this information together for me, and so that we can submit it to the city so that it can be turned into Oakland County. So at this time, you can see at the bottom, there's an approximate expenditure at this point at $19,292.77. I do expect there to be more. We have a deadline to turn in some of these receipts, actually at least these here, by tomorrow to the city of Novi, which we will do. And then we will hear to see how much of that is refunded back. And I'm happy to keep you in the loop on that. But hopefully we will see some reimbursement. On page 45, these are our staff anniversaries for September. We're always a month ahead so that we can look forward to celebrating, which is coming very soon. At the very top, the first one is Mary Robinson from our Information Services Department. And Mary is a part-time librarian and very much involved in IQ. In fact, I would call the IQ Mary's baby at this point. So, and she's looking very forward to getting us open very soon with that for our patrons and offering appointments. But Mary, thank you so much. And she's been with us 15 years at NPL. Just below is Dominic Dute, Information Technology. He is our iCube supervisor. And I could probably say the same about Dom. Wonderfully experienced in technology and helping out in the iCube as well. He'll be supervising a number of the appointments and how we will use the iCube this year. And Dom is celebrating 9 years. Just below is Yolanda Hockaday Dennis, Information Services, and she is our teen space monitor. And she is the face and the connection with our teens that come over after school from 2 to 5. And I'm happy to say that they will be coming back. We won't be having teen space, but we will be having Yolanda back, and we'll have her connecting with our teenagers in some form or fashion, knowing that they are in person and coming back to school. And Yolanda's been with us 5 years. Thank you. And then we have Chris Nadu, Support Services. He's one of our supervisors, and he has been with us 2 years, definitely working very hard with all of the check-in and check-out of materials and supervising staff in that department, along with some others, and the multitude of materials. And then we have Jill Lawson, Support Service as well. She's one of our clerks, one of the friendly faces at the desk when you walk up and check out materials. And Jill has been with us 1 year. And then finally, Leah Bruce, and she is Information Services and one of our interns as of 1 year, and very excited to be having Leah on board with us. So I'm very proud and very happy to have all of these people working on the team, and happy anniversary to all of these staff at MPL. Thank
Yes.
you.
Thank you and happy anniversary, everyone.
Moving to page 46, I just wanted to provide the, from the conversation of our last board meeting and the discussion we had about working with our cafe in order for them to stay involved in the library. There was a letter that was submitted to Eval Gazzaretto, who is the Food and Nutrition Director. And based on what was decided by board, a letter was submitted to her letting her know that we would be exempt, she would, the cafe, exempt from the monthly lease payment of $500 per month between July 2020 to December 2020, a savings of $3,000. And as you can see, there was a carbon copy to our president, Melissa Augusta. She also reviewed before going out. Any questions? Okay. Page 47. This is Michigan Library Pride. So this was posted on August 18th. I wanted to share this with you from the Library of Michigan. They were looking for submissions of what makes you proudest of your library right now. And I took a few minutes to submit because I'm very proud of Novi Library and our amazing team. I'd like to read it if you don't mind. At the Novi Public Library, I, being the director, am most proud of my staff. Through the pandemic, they quickly and easily conquered remote working and learning and have been providing amazing virtual programs and services to our community. They made the words adapt, flexible, and change look so easy. Our motto is inform, inspire, and include, and every day, which is in caps. My NPL family is living this for Novi. As a director, I am blessed to have such a fantastic team. We continue to be available and make a difference for our community. So thank you, Novi Library team. Just below that, I think I'll hold off for the HR committee, so we'll wait for a committee report if that's okay, Trustee Augusta. Okay. So I'm going to move to page 48. That's also a statement which will come up for approval under board for matters of action. So I'll pass by that at this point. I know it'll come up under review. And then library band replacement schedule. This also will come up for matters for board action, which I'll go ahead and address at that time. On page 49, I wanted to give you just a little bit of a COVID update. I wanted to provide you with numbers of usage of the building. So just this is July 30th to August 10th, a snapshot so that you can see by hour how the library is being used. As you can see by hour, we're not exceeding our timer and our 120 capacity at one time. That makes me feel very good that, you know, we're under that capacity and we don't have any concerns for that. However, I am sad to see not as many people visiting us right now, but I completely understand. I do believe, you know, from seeing these numbers, that a big part of what Novi is connecting with our people in person and being a go-to and being a destination place. And right now about 2/3 of the community is not coming in because we're not having that opportunity to connect with them in person and come to programming and stuff. So obviously that makes a big impact to what we're doing. However, on the flip side, we are doing fabulous with our virtual programming and reaching out to our patrons in that capacity, which, you know, you'll see numbers for later in the packet. But I just wanted you to just get a feel for how the building's used right now. just so you can get a sense of things. Is there any questions on those numbers?
Yeah, I was in the other day and I had a comment from a patron about the availability of seating. And I just wonder, is our seating, is that dictated by MLA or the national organizations as far as the number of chairs and such that are around?
It's not, but it's heavily being supported and suggested that we don't have a lot so that it doesn't create congregating and hanging out, especially when we have at this point a 30-minute usage of the building. We are ADA compliant and we are providing a number of seats throughout the building should anybody need it in that capacity. And we do right now have 3 stand-up computer stations, but if someone were to need to sit at a computer, we can provide a chair.
Do I see that we're going to a 1-hour limit coming up September 8th?
Yes.
Do you envision adding any more chairs at that time or no?
We will be adding them at the computer stations for people to sit at them and to have access to computers. I'm not comfortable putting a lot of seating. In phase 5 was when we were going to be adding more seating back. We're still in phase 4. We're just extending the time a little bit, but we're still using timers. And we're very much still social distanced with our spacing and our groupings where we can't exceed a group meeting more than 10 people. So I think it's difficult to put more seating in at this time just for that purpose. But I welcome, the board if you should want me to look into adding a little bit more. But I'm nervous, I'll be honest, because there are people that don't want to follow the 1 hour that we're going to be, they don't want to follow the 30-minute now. And I don't know what the 1 hour with them hanging out will be here. And we do have the students coming back. It'd be easier to be able to work with them to use the building if they didn't think they would be hanging out for long periods of time.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions at that point? On page 50, I wanted to provide you some signage that's available right now, letting people know how the building's being used currently. You know that this will change come September 8th by the information that I provide on page 51 to you. I'm happy to report book donations are being accepted. We're into our 3rd week as of today that book donations are coming in. The friends have been very pleased. We are seeing a lot. We're not marketing it beyond Novi. We don't need other communities to drop their donations off. I think we have enough right here in Novi to handle, so it's not a big push or marketing opportunity at all, but we just knew that we were getting enough calls and we knew that the friends were ready to support helping us. Plus we have to quarantine and we want to make sure we have enough space to quarantine what's coming in order to handle going through it and then getting it through the proper channels, whether it's the library, the book nook, thrift books, or being recycled. Any questions about donations? Okay, page 51. There's a photo of what donations look like. And that was the 2nd week, so it was even more. So they are definitely heavily coming in. It's from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Thursdays. And it's pretty much drive up and cars consistently at the back of the library dropping off materials. In fact, I saw a mom and son. The son looked so wonderful helping his mother unload a whole trunk full of donations that were coming to the building today as I came back from dinner. So I think people, because they had the time to be home, they might have been doing some cleaning. They obviously have the materials that are coming back to us. And the friends appreciate, we're seeing some beautiful stuff come back so that it ends up in the book nook and for resale. And we know that the library benefits from that. Page 51, I've given you a what is coming in September 2020 for building usage and library services. So I still want to take this a little slow. Trustee Lawler did ask a very good question, which is related to this. Giving 1 hour because I know that people with computers are wanting to sit down and have some internet access. I don't think a half hour is a lot of time, so by extending it to an hour for that usage, plus knowing that the kids are going back, they might need to connect with us after school or before school, because the cafe will open at 7 a.m. in order to provide a drink should they drop in before school. But they are keeping 4 days at the high school with a hybrid approach, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. So we will see kids coming into the building. And I've tried to give you as much details as possible with what we will be doing. I also gave you an update as to the IQ, and that will get moving with appointments as of October, and that's based on a new staff person that was hired that has, I'm sorry, not IQ. IQ set for October, but KITS, which I know that a lot of parents are probably going to be happy to see back, especially with being virtual and being at home still and maybe wanting some activities for their children at home. So the kits will get also put in place towards October. And then we also have in the iCube, the 3D printer will be back and working by appointment with patrons as well, based on their needs. So we are hearing them. We are moving slowly. And I'm glad that we are taking baby steps, for the fact that I wouldn't want to have to move backward. So, with opening in September a little more, seeing how that goes, seeing what the reaction is to the kids going back to school. Are there any, concerns? Will there be any concerns? Will they have any cases? So I think it's good to start a little slow and see how that's going, and then work towards, if we can, opening better. But of course, a lot of this is still based on executive orders. We still can't have gatherings of more than 10. And so meeting rooms and things like that. We are quarantining items, and I don't see from colleagues and from the Library of Michigan any of us moving off that quarantining, which makes our large meeting room still unavailable because of the quarantining process. And so, there's some domino effect to some of the things that we're doing in the building to keep safe, that then we can't open up for public as well. Is there any questions that I can help at this or answer at this time? Just from page 51. Okay, I'll move forward to page 52. That's just a copy of the e-newsletter that went out on August 12th, so you can see some of the information that's been shared. Page 54, I wanted you to see some design work that occurred in-house by Marianne Zermulin, who is from our support services staff. She has some wonderful creativity as well, and since the Lakeshore Lending Library is coming under her and her staff, she took a stab at some design work as well, and this is going to be a t-shirt. Library board members will be receiving one. We have your sizes, so be looking for that towards October. And because as we get closer to that launch, it looks like still we're on time this time to be installing around the 28th, the week of the 28th. At this point, I had a meeting today. It's still staying at that date right now, which is good. And then possibly the kiosk being wrapped around the 1st or 2nd of October, or into early October, that first week. And then looking for that park and launch, which I'm still staying very close in touch with Jeff Muck, who's the head of Parks and Rec, to see if there's something that we can do. Obviously, guidelines right now are very restricted in terms of getting together. However, it is the park, so I'm sure they might be looking at some opportunities, knowing it's outside. And as soon as I have those details, I'm happy to share them with you. But we're very excited about some of what's coming about. Any questions on page 54?
I just wanted to comment, I really love the color scheme. I think it's very cool, very serene. So I think they did a good job on that.
Marianne wanted to kind of tie into the lake, that cool water feel. So thank you. Thank you for acknowledging that, because you're right on par. You totally picked it up. We thought we would go that route and keep it light and keep it very much, aquatic and water. So she was very excited, and I'll be happy to share that with her. Page 55 is the Novi Today article that went out. So you can see it's very much about Lakeshore Lending Library and getting ready for that. Page 56. So because we have this wonderful opportunity with Paradise Park and the relationship we've had with summer reading, We are going to try an outdoor event. This is the only one we will be offering because we have the outdoor space that we can work with them and their EO requirements. And it's called September Song Fest. It's at Paradise Park, and it's the next 4 Thursdays. I know one of them will be a board meeting, so I'm sorry, everyone. But that's a good day of the week for them. But hopefully you can make the other 3. And there is registration required. I can tell you that registration, there were just a few spots on each date left. So if you haven't registered and you want to come, here's my plug to you tonight. But we have some great music lined up. We've worked with Paradise Park to make sure social distancing of the performers and social distancing of the guests. There will be a cash bar. They will have a small menu so that they can be very helpful and accommodating to food should someone want to buy food, and the cash bar. And then if people want to bring their children, they obviously have some really fun activities right there at the park. So I think it's a fun night out. The wonderful thing about the pavilion is it is covered. We won't have to worry about weather, because if it rains, we still can enjoy the entertainment and have a good time. Page 57, you are the first to know the launch by wonderful trustees, because it's still a secret till September 8th. But if you look in the packet and look on page 57, I'm not going to say the name, but the 11th annual community read is on its way. And so the date of the book, it will come out on September 8th. It is a brand new book. That's one of the exciting things about it. We were able to get an early copy galley and read it and review. And so it's just coming out from the publisher. So we're excited about that. And then Gail, just to let you know, on October 29th, it's not mentioned on this flyer because this talks about when the author will be available in November, but Gail has a wonderful program lined up for October 29th. It is an actual survivor from the Kent State riots, and it'll be a wonderful presentation, I do believe, for people to interact and hear about that particular time in history. This was the 50th celebration of this in May. And so we thought, when we were planning this book back in January, February, and March before COVID, we just thought that this would be a great opportunity to share something like this. And it is a graphic novel, which is the first time we've introduced something this unique and a different type of read for our readers. So hopefully people will enjoy a graphic novel and reading something a little different if they've never read one before. Any thoughts or questions to that? Okay, I'll move forward. Page 58 is, oh, I'm sorry, did I? Nope, okay. Page 58 is.
Just a moment, Julie.
Oh yes, absolutely.
If everyone could please mute, just because the feedback, I think it's breaking up and then we lose Julie here and there. So if everyone could please mute, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
And thank you for the water break. Okay. So page 58 is the ad for the Novi Chamber of Commerce directory. Just above there, we do a small ad. It's for 2 years. I wanted you to see the design. Definitely a change out from 2 years ago. And then I'm going into the information service. I'm going into the reports of our departments. Page 58 is Barb Rakowski, the information technology report. Following on page 59, at the top is the facilities report by Keith Perfect. And just below, starting on the bottom of page 59, is the report from April Stevenson for information services. I wanted to just point out on page 60, in case there was any question or concern, under the adult Zoom programs and meetings, if you look at the Racism is Not a Black People issue, which was part of the racism series and the program that Gail offered, that is correct on her numbers. 1,120 people interacted with her through that program. That is not an error. So because it's so large, I wanted to point that out, that we had such great turnout for these programs, and it's Zoom and it's Facebook Live. What you're going to see though is that number's here, but then when you look at the Facebook Live numbers down in the statistics under COVID, those are smaller numbers. So I didn't want you to be confused. They are good numbers that she's reporting there, and then Facebook does it as touches. So it's definitely much smaller. So these are numbers, that 1,120, those are programming numbers that we'll be able to use for the state. So even though we're not getting people in the building, look what we're doing in a Zoom program. I just wanted to point that out to all of you. Page 61, Raising a Reader, still doing very well, and high numbers for logging in. And then there's some great photos of July 6th, the Shrinky Dink Jewelry Grab and Go, and the July 27th Dot Mandala Painting Grab and Go as well. And then on page 62, and you still have till the end of August to drop in and see the Rightfully Hers display. So this is from the National Archives, called the Rightfully Hers, and it commemorates the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, the women's voting rights that impacted us all, women, and we're very excited about that. So if you want to drop in and see that display, it will be still on the first floor by the patio area until the end of August. And then on page 63, Marianne Zermulin's report from Support Services is available. And then on page 64, a little bit of a COVID update. So we were doing 96 hours of quarantine with materials based on a new report that this is the third one that has come through. Realm is the Reopening Archives, Libraries, and Museums report that we're following. The Library of Michigan and many directors are following. And we just had an update that the recommendation was to go to 5 days for quarantine because there were still traces of potential virus on some of the items. So we are following that very closely for safety purposes, and all the materials are being quarantined for 5 days. So let me talk a little bit about that. We've had patrons come in and they're like, I returned my materials 3 days ago. It's still showing on my account. It will, because they're quarantined for 5 days first. We don't want to touch them. Then what we do is we bring them into a clean and sanitized area that's not compromised at all by materials coming into the building. And then they get checked in, come off the record. We're currently still not doing any fines because of the quarantining and this lag in time. And so I just want to reassure our guests that, you know, call us if you're concerned, but if you're returning them and it hasn't been 5 days, they haven't come off the account yet. Give at least 5 days for them to come off the account. The only thing that we are charging at this time is if there's a lost item. And that would be because they, you know, obviously the patron can't find it. And we'd like to recoup that so we can repurchase and get something new back on the shelves. Any questions to that? No? Okay. And then on page 65, this is our social media statistics. And that's why I just wanted to point out, you know, Gail's numbers ahead of time versus this, because you don't see that 1,120 for that one program, but you see the touches through the different social media, Facebook and YouTube, Twitter and Instagram. So we are tracking both, but it is actual programming invites and people being involved. That's good numbers. And then we have our regular statistics. You can see starting on page 66. I do want to point out, because I know Trustee Lawler does pay attention to self-checkout. And I want to point out that, do you see those numbers are a little higher? They were sometimes in the 40s. They are a little higher, and that is because people are doing a lot of independent checking out. It's an opportunity to go contactless. You know, they have an opportunity, guests do, to sanitize the area before they use the pad and then check out their own materials themselves. And it's nice to see a little uptick in those numbers. Any questions about those statistics that would go through page 74?
Julie?
Yes.
Just real quick. Sorry, Tori. Under adult Zoom programs and meetings, we're missing, just so you know, we're missing a number on one of the programs for Why Take Me. I don't see like a number there, and I know you want it to commiserate with the YouTube one. So.
Can you point out which page you're on, Trustee Julie?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry.
No, that's okay.
Page 60 under adult Zoom programs and meetings.
Okay.
Underneath, talking with your kids about racism, a black and white perspective. Yeah, Why Take a Knee, we're missing the number.
Yes, thank you. I apologize. I will get that right away, and then I'll share it with the board.
Thank you.
Julie, I have 2 questions on stats, if you don't mind.
Go right ahead.
All right, so on page 68, I just wanted to clarify. So for stats on the drive up usage, is that the drop box, the window, or both?
That's actually driving through. So it's counting the car. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
it counts a car. Yes.
Okay. And then you brought up the wonderful numbers for the Talk Racism series.
Yeah.
So like so like for the example with the Racism is Not a Black People Issue one, like you brought up, was 1,120.
Yes.
Is that people, like, is that 1,100, that number watching Facebook Live, or is it just anyone watching the Zoom and then also playing back?
It's a combination, from what Gail tells me, a combination of Zoom and Facebook Live.
Okay, so Facebook Live, is that like that they had to be there to watch it during the event as it was going live, or could they have watched it like an hour ago and that would have counted in that number?
You know, Trustee, you let me double check that. I don't want to answer and be wrong about that. And these are still new statistics for me, so I will double check that.
Thank you.
Is the total number you're asking me, including someone who goes back and watches it maybe like an hour later under YouTube? Okay, let me double check that.
Just to clarify really quick, and it's not even just under YouTube. If you watch a Facebook Live video late, your number still counts. So just to clarify, just because you mentioned YouTube.
Right. Yeah, I'll get a better clarification, because that's why I asked it when I saw the numbers come in, and I apologize for missing the why take a knee, because I actually looked through these. When I saw the 1,120, I'm thinking great, but then why wasn't the number the same under the social media stuff? So that's why I had asked the same thing. I thought, was that an extra zero? You know what I mean? I wasn't sure myself. So let me get more clarification. I'll be happy to. Thank you. Okay, moving forward. Did anybody else have any questions about stats or anything at this point? No? Okay. So on page 75 is the Friends of the Novi Library, their June 10th board meeting minutes. I don't think there was anything in there to date. That they had a July meeting, which took place. I didn't receive those minutes yet. They're not having an August meeting. Yes, they're not having an August meeting. They didn't have an August meeting. I forget, we're at the end of August. In September, they are having one. So they're trying to get back on schedule. It is a conference call with them. Not all the members of their board have Zoom capabilities and internet, so they've been doing a conference call. So I know Trustee Augusta, I've been providing that to you because you said that you would be involved in the meeting. Does anybody else want that contact information? Yeah, okay. Thank you. Okay. Page 79 is their Friends of the Novi Library newsletter. Let me point out that there was a little typo. It says August 2019, but it is August 2020. That should be noted on this newsletter, because they just sent it out. If you're a member, you would have received it in email. And they're excited about the Song Fest because they are sponsoring it. They gave the library $1,000 towards the performances and the music presentations that'll take place. I cannot thank them enough. They always come through in a pinch. I said I wanted to do this program, and I had hoped for a sponsor, and with COVID and everything, you know, I didn't want to reach out to businesses early on, and they came in no problem. Julie will do it. So they will be at the event, by the way, and they'll have a table just to market the Friends that night. Page 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, and 85. Those are all agendas and minutes relating to the Novi Historical Commission to date. I was behind in getting those from them, and they weren't having meetings, you know, through the spring, and they were catching up themselves. So that's why I wanted to make sure you had everything in there as much as possible. And then we have our 2021 library closings I put in, which is for matters for board action. And so I put that in there so everyone has that. And then the page 87 is the library board calendar to date. Anything else I can help with? Yes, Trustee Yu.
I don't have a question. I just have some comments.
Sure.
I just wanted to say. So I did get a chance. I was at the library a couple of weeks ago, and luckily Dom, Mary, and Shannon were in the iCube, and I got a nice little exclusive tour. And I saw the new 3D printer we have, and which was really cool. And so was the new mug printer. So it was nice seeing those. I'm happy to see that that we are still continually adding things to the iCube, even though the iCube is not open to the public. It's also nice to see how our staff is so giddy about these new toys that we have in there.
Well, I promise you, Trustee you, that when we do open by appointment, which will happen this fall, they've had a lot of time to tinker and have fun, so they're ready. Which was great. I mean, they're really becoming very good experts about the equipment and feeling very comfortable themselves. And sometimes we rush through and put something out there and don't know everything. And so all of them it's a great team. And we've added actually a few more people from the staff who wanted to know more about some of the equipment. We've added a few more people to the committee so that they can also become more abreast for what's in there. So thank you.
Okay. Yep, very awesome. And then my second comment, I am happy to see that our neighborhood library association continues to grow. Remember back when I was a student rep, we only had 5 libraries, and now we're up to 7. I mean, I'm also really happy that it keeps expanding up to my school district. So that's just a little personal note, but yep.
Thank you.
Growing.
Yep, we added commerce this year. They were very excited to be added. Another smaller library, but one that we share. We a lot of guests with and residents of those communities. So yeah, we were really excited. What happened was, it's kind of funny, is Allison was the director at Walled Lake, and then she moved to commerce. So that was a really nice fit, because she knew already and had been working with us. And she got the new director at Walled Lake. She's like, you got to join because we're really already members. And then she moves to commerce and she's like, we will join. So nice little family, and what a wonderful committee they're working on. Everyone on the committee works really well together. We're excited about the title, and we're excited about the programming that's coming.
Awesome. And Allison was a Novi librarian, if I don't recall, wasn't she?
Yes, she was. Yes, she was. It's great to see her moving up.
I feel old, but okay. And you look at the anniversaries.
But you forget that you started as a baby.
That's true too.
You're just a toddler now.
That means I hope I can have you for a long time, Tori.
We'll talk.
All right, Julie, are you all set?
I am. Thank you so much.
Any more questions or discussions? Are we ready to move on to committee reports? All right, committee report, policy committee, Chair Mishner.
Hey there. So committee report policies. Oh, I mentioned before we started that I'm actually currently on vacation right now. But I will say that me and Melissa talked briefly in email, and me and Julie talked briefly in email, and I need to get them a date. Julie proposed a date in September for herself, myself, and Melissa to meet in regards to some of the work that she's done with the staff. I don't get back to the practice until tomorrow. So I don't know what my schedule looks like. So when I find out, I will forward dates appropriately. I'm very eager to get rolling on that and to make sure that we do the staff proud, since they've put in so much work over the last year. So
thank you.
Just FYI, that's coming up for everyone to be aware of. The other thing, and this has come up a couple times, and I did mention it in the equity report also. I just put in a request and a matter for board action. If we could add a clause under anti-bullying for no hate speech in our existing policy. When Kat and I did the review of the policy last year, we combed through it. We didn't have an anti-bullying policy at that time, so that's something that we added, and we recognized that was missing. This is my request, though. This is not Kat's. This is mine. I'm asking if we can add no hate speech in our policy. I think that's super important. So I would ask for that. I think that that kind of speech should not be welcomed by anybody, and I think it should be documented. Just because people come up with reasons to do things when it's not documented. So I think that we should definitely have that in there. I think that shows us leaning towards being more anti-racist. So that is one of the things I'm proposing under matter for board action when we get to it, but that is all I have today.
I think for board action, we haven't seen it in writing and part of the whole thing. So is that something we'll discuss when we meet as a committee and then we'll vote? Because there's going to be updates and changes to the whole policy. That's what they've been doing the last year. So that will be presented to us as a committee.
Can we just add it as a vote? Because we voted on things really fast. I mean, even last month, we've done some quick things really, really fast. When they're
I'm all for it. I just need to know which policy. I mean, I know which policy, but I'd like to know where it's going to go. So it's all that documentation's with the attorney right now. I'm supposed to be getting that back on September 8th from the attorney. So then I'd like to have that added so that when we meet for our meeting for review, you will see it and then we'll be able to bring it to the board.
So hopefully we'll be able to vote on it as a whole then in September.
That was my hope. And then then everyone's seeing it right in the policy and it's ready to go.
So you've added some verbiage to what you presented to the attorney, Julie?
I'm going to now, based on this request, I will be sending it. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was hoping we could do it. I notice when things get pushed back, they get erased. They don't happen. So I really wanted to push that through. I thought it was so important, and I feel like it's something that should be a given, but that's my request. But
I fully understand and respect you, Trustee Mitchner. I completely understand and wouldn't not put that in. I'm happy to work with the attorney to have that language in it, no problem, and you will see it.
Yeah, so we'll discuss it at committee and then we'll hopefully be able to discuss, review, and then, see if we want to vote on it in September. But it definitely will be included. And you'll see it when we meet, whenever you're available in September. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, HR committee, that would be me. On page 47, so the committee met a couple times and then we met with Julie and we discussed. So in addition to the soft goals that we have for Julie, we asked her to come up with some measurable goals. And then with those goals, she'll be able to show each action step that she has done to achieve these goals. So when we do the review, her mid-year review, this will be part of it. So we will see Julie's self-evaluation, is that correct, first?
Yes.
And then we will meet as a group and then do our review together instead of individual regroups. So then when we present our evaluation mid and year end, it will be a one average of everything. So that will come up as a team. Are there any questions about the specific goals on page 47 for Julie? And that was based on the feedback I received from everybody about the top things you wanted her to focus on.
So this will replace the form that we used to use?
No, this is in addition to. So there are basically soft goals and then measurable goals.
Gotcha.
So it'll be a combination.
I can just clarify something for you, President Augusta.
Please.
I only do the self-evaluation in June at the end of the year, so you won't see it mid-year.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. All right, thank you for clarifying.
Sure.
Any questions about any of that? I see we're looking for the driver position. And Julie, do you have any update in regards to any other positions you'll be posting because of the requirement?
Yep, along with the driver position, which has been a difficult position to fill, we're actually posting it for the 4th time. Each time we've posted, we've actually filled it, gotten to the point where someone has accepted the job and then they've decided not to move forward. So then we'd have to go back and do the process again. So this actually began in early spring so that we'd have this person on board when we came into fall, but it's been quite a challenge, unfortunately. And then the other position that just went out today is for an HR manager, knowing that we have a retirement with Marcia Dominic in our admin office.
Oh, congratulations to her. That's wonderful. Right, thank you. Yes, Trustee Mister.
Yeah. That's unfortunate that it seems like someone was going to get it and then they didn't. Did they give any feedback so we can know like if there's anything we need to change for the position? Did they mention why?
Yeah, they did. They did actually. One person, it was a transportation issue as it got closer to taking the job. Another person ended up with family issues that then couldn't take it. And I apologize on the third one. It was nothing related to the actual job itself, but I can tell you that because we kept having this, I did up the salary a little bit. The last time I put it out there, I did up the salary just to see if that might be more enticing. I mean, the salary was comparable to the TLN drivers that work here, but now I've bumped it up a little bit more because of that. And it was very comparable to city drivers and stuff too. But I did make it a little bit more enticing because we do want to attract someone.
Right. Thank you.
I have to tell you, it's sometimes very difficult for people, and we don't always have full-time positions available either. We don't necessarily need a full-time position in this job, but so it is a part-time position.
Thank you. I just had a question. So piggybacking off of the driver of our issue, trying to find a driver. So I know in a previous meeting or two, it was mentioned that we were moving on to the new online applicant system, which the city, I believe, uses also. Yeah. Are we seeing any increase of applicants, or I know the original goal, one of the goals is also to try and attract more diverse ways of attracting our applicants. Is it working? At least I know it's only been a few months, but
right. No, actually, every time we've had a very large pool. The pool grows each time depending on the position. So having it, the software is called Applicant Pro, and we are very pleased so far with what the results are. We're getting lots of people to apply. Then we get through interviews, we get to offering the position, we even get to someone getting to the point of them going for their medical exam. And then we get a call and, get to the date that they're going to start. And then we get the call that they're not going to start. So in one respect, I'm glad we haven't started the training process, because then it's time that we've lost. But it has been challenging. But the Applicant Pro software has made a huge difference from before, when we used to post. It goes out to LinkedIn now, and it goes out social media wise, plus anywhere where people would be looking for jobs, Indeed, things like that are bigger reach, much bigger.
Okay, very awesome. Because I know we use this Applicant Pro with parks, and we've also seen an increase in a lot of our part-time applicants as well. Although we have a lot of more no-show applicants, but that's
we had the same thing too. We had people not show for the interview. Yeah, and then no reason why.
Yeah, that's the same as what Parks experienced.
I'm glad it's not just us. So thank you for that information.
All right, thank you. All right, that's my report. Any questions before we move on to finance? All right, Trustee Wood, please.
The only thing is, as I said during my report, we had the final budget reviewed and adjusted by the City of Novi Finance for the auditing purposes. So,
if I can just add one really quick thing, and I think the finance department or the finance committee might be happy with me. I sat down with Barb Cook, and she's going to work with me a little closer on the foundation and endowment stuff. Now that she's been with the library 2 years, this is new for her, but she's very excited about the challenge. So I'll have another person kind of keeping me in tow with moving us forward, so we don't lose that momentum. So she'll be doing some research for us and looking into a few things. So more to come, and she'll be probably joining us in those finance committee meetings.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, events, Chair, you please.
All right. So again, not really many programs that we attended. I was an election worker at Precinct 18 here at the library, so I had a chance to see the library all day in action with our COVID. Well, it was closed, so I saw how that went. The cafe seemed to have, I heard the blender a lot, so it seemed like that they had pretty good usage as well. I did email all the other trustees to see if they attended any programs, and I didn't hear back of anyone. If anyone didn't respond, let me know.
Thank you for that email. That was super nice. Tori.
Yep, I will try and do that going forward.
Oh, that was very kind of you.
Thanks, Tori. That was helpful.
Yeah.
And Tori, if you share with me, I'll be happy to put it actually in the packet for you so that it's noted.
Okay, will do. Yeah, actually, I saw the packet, and that's what prompted me to, just in case we missed anything.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, strategic planning, Chair Julie.
We don't have any updates at this time. I just have one question, Julie.
Yes.
Do you want to meet with strategic planning anytime soon? Should we, meet with each other, go over anything? I just want to make sure we're a resource for you and we don't just keep saying no updates at this time all year.
Sure. Right. You probably might want to wait until we have our first goal in October. That might be helpful to you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Building Landscape Committee, Trustee Messernick.
Thank you. We talked at the last meeting about the drainage work that was being done. We had not had much rain up until yesterday, so we weren't real sure how it turned out. Julie, any updates from yesterday?
It's draining and it's dry. Yay!
Okay, good.
Yes, good news. Good news so far. We are watching it, but you're right. We haven't had a lot of rain, but yesterday we did. It did pool, but then it drained, and it's not sitting almost like another day later. So I do believe we are seeing progress.
Good, good. Julie already talked about the lending library a little bit earlier. Again, looking at late September now is the current date. The wrap on that, Julie, any more action on that?
I have solicited 3 quotes, so I'm waiting to get back the cost at this point and then design work, and I haven't seen those yet.
Okay. The van wrap was completed. Still looking for sponsorship opportunities, I think.
Yes, I am. I've had a lot of fires, so I haven't worked on it too closely. But when I get a chance, when we have a sponsorship come up that a business might be interested in towards that $1,000, we're trying to see, well, would you rather do this? And then you get more opportunities. So we're kind of doing it that way. I just haven't been able to get out and focus specifically on that. I'm sorry.
Oh, not a problem. The cafe we talked about earlier, and again, they're going to be starting up their early morning services September 8th. We've sent them a notification about the 6 months grace on the rent. Anything you want to add to that, Julie? I think that was pretty much it. Friends of the library, we talked about donations, and you saw a picture of the stacks and stacks of donations that we got. And last but not least, we'll be working on doing some air duct cleaning, which will help the whole building, and that will be coming up in the upcoming months. Any questions?
Thank you. All right, Bylaw Committee, Trustee Lawler.
No activity to report at this time.
Chair Lawler, you will be hearing from me. I'll go ahead and I'll try to get a meeting together so that we can start looking, since time frame. It's been a while since we've looked at them.
Great.
All right, thank you.
All right, and then the Equity and Inclusion Committee, Chair Mishner, please.
Just had to unmute before I start talking. That's always helpful. Okay, so there's a couple things. First, I just wanted to mention, is there a clarification on correspondence? Because I know that we've included anonymous things in, and you know, it's been noted that everybody's voice should be heard. And I know we got 2 pieces of information from patrons and that were not included in our packet. And
That's because the packet was already prepared, so they will definitely be in our next meeting.
Okay. I just, you know, and I'll speak to, you know, why I'm bringing that up. I think, you know, those issues were Black related. And we're dealing with a lot of Black issues right now, right? We have been since June. So I just want to make sure that I'm being transparent. That's very important to me, to have authenticity, and to make sure, as we're talking about inclusion, and even Julie bringing up some of the great attendance we had, and even someone giving us a positive review about some of the things that we're doing, we want to make sure that it doesn't look like we're only including positive notes about race, but not ones that call us a little bit higher. So I just want to say that and put that out there, because I think it's helpful.
For the record, they will be included in our next meeting. Just so you know.
Yeah, you said that. I totally got that. You mentioned that. I'm just sharing why I'm mentioning it too, if that's okay with you, Melissa.
Yeah, no, I was just answering your question. Do you have your committee report ready?
I do. I just, I hope what I'm saying is helpful for all of us, because, you know, we're serving a whole community of people. So if certain people don't feel included, it's just important.
No, absolutely.
Trustee Mitchner, if I can help you out, the packet went out on Sunday. The correspondence that came through were after Sunday your packet was received. So there was a timing.
I totally got that.
I just want to make sure you know, so that there wasn't anything. It would have definitely made the packet had I had them, and I have to put the packet together and get it out to you. Unfortunately, those correspondence came after your packet was created, and it was sent out, and it was ready for the agenda, and it was ready for upload to the website.
I do hear you guys 100%, and what you're saying makes sense. I'm saying it here because I think other people might want to know that, so that we don't, you know, get people saying, why didn't you think about us? I think that's important. I think it's important as we talk about equity and these issues to just bring that up. And also I wanted clarification to know, like, what's the deadline for correspondence, or what qualifies for correspondence. That was it. But I hear what you're saying, for sure. As far as what we've done, we only had one meeting in the month of August. That was on the 18th. It was a Zoom meeting, and Jeff Wood resigned from the Equity Committee at that time. The goal before we got to the meeting was we were going to come together with examples of statements and choose which one was, kind of go through it and choose which one was best. But when I got to the meeting, and Kat can speak to this if you like, but she mentioned she no longer thought a statement was necessary. Just do what we've been doing, do the work, do the programs, and don't negate what the library has been doing already. I hear that, and I did request a statement. It's in the packet. I think when we get to matters for board action, I can read that. I don't think I have to do that now, but I did include a statement myself. So I stayed, I'm staying consistent, through the whole thing since June. I'm of the same opinion. That is not the case across the board. I am, like I sent the packet before, I am requesting that we purchase a membership to one of the diversity-based professional organizations in the library industry. One of the really popular ones is BCALA. So that one I thought was like a kind of a really reputable, and it's part of the ALA. So I mentioned that I think that would be really good, but I put that out before in the packet from last month. I also asked if we could participate in the Spectrum Scholarship Program, because I think that's super important as well. Some of the issues we're having with hiring, we might be able to get some really good advice, but also just, deepen our understanding. I think we're doing some great things. I think we can do better. I think we can become an anti-racist organization, but I think that there are some things that are going in the right direction. I won't deny what we've done. I think there's just improvements that can be made, and I think that would be really good. Lastly, there was one other thing. Oh, the Twitter chat. Julie had mentioned a PLA Twitter chat. I know I was able to attend. I don't know if any other trustees were able to attend, or Julie, if you were able to attend, if you wanted to even mention anything.
I was active in it. I saw your name as well. Thank you.
Yeah. So it was just what I can share with you really briefly is that a lot of the things in the packet under PLA which the Public Library Association was just reiterated. And a lot of it was just really stressing that we really need a call to action when it comes to race, specifically in Black communities. We really, as library workers, need to come together and really stand up under these things. And they stress statements and things of that nature, not being apologetic about standing up for our patrons when it comes to those issues. It was a really good chat. It's super easy. You just kind of like tweet back and forth, and it was a lot of participation. It was really nice. They do one, I believe, once a month on different topics relevant to library issues, and it's a very welcoming community chat. So if anyone ever wants to look it up, just follow PLA on Twitter. It's super easy. It's free. It's something that you can do just to get more involved. So that is mostly what I have right now before we get to matters for board action.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments or discussion?
President Augusta, if it's okay, because Trustee Mitchell asked me to do some clarification. I did try to attend the PLA Twitter discussion, and it is in writing that I did try, but unfortunately the format was really, I had a hard time with it. So I unfortunately missed out on all that valuable information. So I do want to offer clarification because, what we say during our board meetings is public. And, last board meeting, everybody can see my comments when we were talking about issues related to race. And I know that it might be confusing to some, the reasoning why I decided that it might be better if we don't put out a statement on Facebook. My reasons being, back when, we were initially engaged by a member of the public, and, I did mention in the last meeting how we were called out for what was assumed as silence with regards to the issues that were going on in the Black community and are still going on. I, on a personal level, engage in that space. I'm learning. I've had some really good conversations with a lot of community members on the topic. Also, I'm a processor. And so, after the first initial commitment that we thought, we would put out, and then we got some feedback from the lawyer, it made us, take a step back, me especially, in terms of, some of the verbiage that was in there. And then again, over time, I keep learning about our relationship with the community, what our duty is as trustees, specifically to do the greatest good to the greatest number of library users. That's actually in our bylaws as trustees. And then, thinking about our relationship to the municipality and the actual community of Novi who we serve. I feel as my job as a trustee, I need to be able to empower the staff because I didn't study library science. I think the programming right away that Gail put out was astounding to me, and I was really happy to participate in some of the programs, and I still have to go back and watch the rest. And I think that that's what really matters a lot, is the work, conversations, the fact that we have an equity and inclusion committee now, and that we're working on research, and Trustee Michener is really passionate about that, and she did present a lot of our conversations in the packet, which we'll include later. But there's resources out there, and all of us are still learning. And I think, because I'm a processor and because I absorbed more information, I really do believe that we have to do the job that we do through the work, and that I don't feel it's appropriate for me, without the support of the staff, the whole staff, because that was the initial idea behind the first commitment. It was going to be a unified statement or a unified commitment to the community. I just don't feel that it's correct for me to push something forward personally. I respect Trustee Michener, and she's a great writer, and we're going to review her statement tonight. And I respect the voices that are saying that we still need one, but I really believe that actions speak louder than words. And I did reiterate that in our committee meeting with Trustee Michener and Julie, that the work that we do is to empower our staff to do even more. And, I echo Trustee Michener that there's a lot more work to do, and that, we're not perfect. And to strive towards perfection, I don't think is what a public entity should do. But a public entity needs to support its community, and our community is Novi. And that's the lens that I'm looking at. That's the lens I'm understanding. I have to take my personal beliefs a little bit aside, because we have a community that we do have to take care of. And I think it's important to get the education out there, to get the information out there, to promote what resources are available in order to inform our community. That's the most important part to me, because then when people leave our community, they're going to have this empowerment to do even greater good outside of our borders. And I think that's the biggest thing to me. So I just wanted to offer that clarification to the public, that's why, for me, I did change my opinion, and I just want our work to shine, and the work that we're going to do with, Trustee Michener wanting to include the hate speech statement for public policy. I agree with that. I think that's an excellent reemphasis of the work that we tried to do last year, which was, we reviewed harassment, we reviewed bullying, and those spaces weren't necessarily included in the legislation and the policy. And now we're going to enhance them again to make sure that anything that falls under the definition of hate speech is also protected, that we don't allow that to happen in our library. So I think that's all I have to say, and I appreciate the time, and thank you, Trustee Michener, for allowing me to clarify and bringing that up. And that's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other comments, discussion? Thank you, Trustee Michener and Julie. All right, number 13, public comment. In order to hear all citizen comments at a reasonable hour, the library requests that speakers respect the 3-minute time limit. This is not a question and answer session, therefore library board members will not respond to questions. It is an opportunity to voice your thoughts with the Novi Public Library Board of Trustees. Josh, do we have anybody that is wanting to?
Hello?
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Coming to you today for a couple different reasons. One, to say thank you for pushing forward with making Juneteenth a holiday. And to understand that that is something now that you all are backing out of is extremely disheartening. I heard the passion of the young lady who just spoke, and she said that she has to do what's best for people in Novi. And I think it's best for people everywhere to honor and respect exactly what Juneteenth is and what Juneteenth means to the African American community. At Survivors Speak, which is our nonprofit, we represent the voice of the people. So this is why we are calling you today, to say that we are asking you to not only keep your word as to what you have voted on initially, keep it as a holiday, but also in addition to still provide the education. While, yes, the heart of Novi may not want something like this, that's understood. There are a lot of places that don't want to be culturally competent or don't want to accept the viewpoint of someone else that they don't understand. In this day and in this time, that is totally unacceptable. We have to move forward and we have to push forward with not only spreading awareness, but making sure that we are doing things that make people understand that even in Novi, racism will not be tolerated, and that we will educate and that we will honor what we say we are going to do in this movement. So we are asking, please, we have definitely spoke to Kimberly Craig from Channel 7 News about this. So, we are waiting on what the outcome is going to be tonight of your decision. We hope that your decision is going to be to honor your word, because that is one thing that people voted you in, or whether you were appointed in those positions, it was to do the work. You've already done the work. Please do not undo it. You will be setting the tone not only for Novi, but for other areas that can follow suit and do the same thing. So I'm asking you all to be on the right side of history. Do what's right to represent and let individuals know that Novi understands and respects what Juneteenth really means. And if that is the case, you will keep things as you already have done them, which is to make it as a holiday. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Do we have anyone else, Joshua?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. Hi, I'm Adrienne Haslam. My pronouns are she, her. I've been a Novi resident for almost 20 years, and I have 3 kids here in Novi schools. And I wanted to stop by tonight and introduce myself, partly because my husband Jason and I started a group back in February in partnership with the Novi Public Library called Pride and Joy. We've had a little bit of a hiatus due to COVID, but we're looking forward to starting it back up virtually this fall. Thank you, Julie. Pride and Joy is meant to offer support to parents and guardians of LGBTQ+ kids, which we are blessed to have in our family. The mission of the group is to provide educational resources, advocacy opportunities, and mutual support as we strive to love our children well. When you have a child who's a minority, you become hyper aware of the ways in which the world does and does not consider them, their safety, their...
We lost you for a moment.
Okay. You become aware of the ways in which the world does and does not consider their safety and their dignity and their humanity. While families in this community come from diverse backgrounds and face unique challenges, I believe the greatest risk to all of our kids is ignorance, which often turns to fear, hatred, and violence, which are in a constant loop. And this is where the library is so great, because education eradicates ignorance, which ultimately leads to a safer world for our kids and everyone else's kids, because we are all inextricably connected. And a threat to justice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And it's in that spirit that I also want to lend my voice tonight to support the anti-racism initiatives that have been brought forward by your Equity and Inclusion Committee and from both the June and August emails from Sharon Trumpy, such as the hate speech clause in your anti-bullying policy, a library audit, the Spectrum Scholarship, the Juneteenth holiday closure, and a BC ALA membership to continue to align with the great and focused work that this wonderful organization has begun. My heart breaks for the fear that my Black friends and neighbors are feeling right now for their children's lives and for their own. We are inextricably connected, and as much as I can understand, their pain is my pain. If the world isn't safe for their kids, it isn't safe for mine or yours. And just as our society is directly impacted by COVID-19, we're also directly impacted by the crisis of anti-Black racism. And whether we feel the impact up close or as a ripple, we're all negatively impacted. So the time is right now to take these new measures to eradicate ignorance and to unequivocally express our commitment to the value of the lives of our Black neighbors and friends and families here in Novi. This has not yet been done in America, so this is our chance to be part of history and truly change the world. My family and I wholeheartedly support Novi Public Library's anti-racism efforts. We want time's up. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Our next person, Josh.
Hello, my name is Dewan Woods. I'm a Novi resident, 49589 Hartwick Drive, and parent of a 6-year-old. First, I'd like to say the speaker before me, the person before me, was very articulate, and I actually have to say, with allies like her and hearing the Novi board talk about this important issue, it just heartens me that you all are grappling with something that's challenging to so many people and communities across this country. So first of all, I want to say that as a parent, as a resident, I support your actions, and I would say you have resources and allies out there, particularly with Wayne State University, where I work. I know many of the leaders here in Novi are connected to Wayne State. Dr. Matthews is an alum. I believe Julie Farkas is an alum of our library science program, and many other universities beyond Wayne State are providing solutions and opportunities to serve communities with racial equity and initiatives that I think are important for communities of color and African Americans in particular. So I'd also like to say that board member Michener, Trustee Michener, is doing I think a fabulous job in raising this important issue and addressing it in a way where it serves not just the community, African American community, but if you think about Novi being an international community, a community that cuts across different racial demographics, international demographics, from immigrants to folks who are sort of economically challenged. I think the library is that beacon of hope, that location where kids, families, parents gravitate to learn and give their kids a better way of life and a better opportunity than they had. And for those who are successful, to have their kids be prepared for the future that we're facing. So I just want to do two things. Just share that Wayne State University is an ally and it would be a resource for the library, with its current library chair, John Cawthorn, who's the president of the College Libraries Association, representing all university college libraries across the country, and also President Emory Wilson, who's the president of Wayne State, who's working with Michigan State's president and U of M's president on racial equity and social justice initiatives. And so just to say that there are resources out there for you all and to continue the great work that you're doing. Thank you for the time and opportunity, and in any ways that we can support as parents, we're also you all's greatest resource to the parents and community of Novi. So thank you so much. Have a good evening.
Thank you for sharing. Josh, for our next person, please.
Hello, I'm Lisa Hobson. I've lived in Novi for 15 years. I'm a public school teacher in a neighboring suburban district. My family and I have utilized the library throughout our entire residency here, and I've been listening to the meeting for a while now. I am utterly appalled at how your fellow board member, Melissa, cut Ms. Michener off twice as soon as she began to speak about issues that speak to the heart of Black people at large. I think it was very unprofessional and telling at the same time. And as far as the other young lady, I don't recall her name, but it looks like she was Asian American. Just to address her comments, no one has time to wait for board members to process these issues as they pertain to how you may be perceived by a few closed-minded white individuals. Novi is a diverse community, and I think you are undermining how the community feels at large about issues such as Black Lives Matter, and underlying and celebrating Juneteenth as a national holiday. I live in a complex in a subdivision, and all the subdivisions surrounding are mostly Indian folks and people, other people of various cultures. So Novi is not this old, white supremacist, non-inclusive, conservative, like traditional place that it seems like the young Asian lady was projecting it to be. So I took offense by that. And, just as a Black member of the Novi demographic, I find her response in her like all lives mattering approach to the reason why she changed her mind is I just find that both cowardly and just backwards, especially for someone as young as she appears to be. That's all I have to say. And if you guys don't vote in favor of doing the right thing as it pertains to African Americans and other disenfranchised people in the community, like the Pride community, as the other young woman just spoke of, yeah, you do deserve to get the negative backlash and scorn from Channel 7 and the others. Have a good night.
Joshua, do we have anyone else?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes. What you get.
Yes, my name is Clifton. I'm probably not like
Uh-huh.
many of you. I'm not from the city of Novi, but I'm a city very close to it. We reside here in the city of Livonia, and I know my family are big readers, and I know my wife probably reads 120 plus books a year. But we're regular patrons to the libraries all around Metro Detroit. And I know just even something like doing research on just even a number of the cities that are even going after implementing Juneteenth as a holiday. But having Juneteenth as a holiday is an incredible stance of showing that all lives matter. It opens up room to educate the community on racism and the intolerance of it. And even as a Black family in America, we are proud to patronize places where we feel welcomed. And we would love for that to be Novi as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Joshua, do you have someone else?
Hello, Novi Library Board. I'm actually an employee of the Novi Public Library, as well as an activist in the community with many of the programs, and also leading and organizing many of the organizations that represent Black people in the community. I've been in Novi for over 14 years and have advocated for Black families, for Black experiences, Black lives, for our protection, for our equitable inclusion. And until 2020, those requests, that advocacy was mostly ignored. So when May 25th came and we were watching George Floyd literally lose his last breath on live television, I reached out to the board and asked, and so when Kat Dingley refers to the statement of someone coming to them, I was one of the people that came to say, I would hope that the library that I work at and in the community in which I live in would step up and would speak up and speak for Black families. I tried to convey the amount of pain, the suffering, the anguish that we go through on a day-to-day basis in non-Black environments. How our safety is in question. Having my own experience as recently as last year with a patron calling me the N-word in my job and not feeling very protected, not feeling very supported in that situation. I thought it would be great if I could reach out to the board, reach out to my supervisor, Julie Farkas, and share what it felt like at that moment back in early June and how I could lend myself to supporting and helping the library to actually take a stance and show the support that those other conversations speak to about the work, but we needed to have, and it was extremely important to make a unified statement. And unified in the sense of, what do we stand for? Now, were there going to be staff or board members who don't agree that Black lives are important? Absolutely. But if that's not the heart or the spirit of who we are as residents and community members, then it would be a very easy stance to get a consensus of who believed in the new mission, which is that it is not inclusive in Novi for everyone. That might be the intent, but we are yelling, screaming, crying, letting you know that that is not the experience. And so when Juneteenth, for example, was stated to be a holiday, I thought great because we don't celebrate any Black holidays in Novi. And then very soon after, as a staff member, to hear, but it would be a professional development day. We only have 4 Black employees at the Novi Public Library, and we don't have any other days that honor us. And the very one time that we get a day that honors us, we are asked to put that to the side.
Time is up.
Thank you for sharing. Joshua, do we have anyone else?
Yes, hi. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm Margaret Winter. I'm actually a Northville resident. And can I yield my time to Tia Marie or no?
No.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that as I'm from Northville, but I'm also a patron of the Novi Library, and I want to second what Tia Maria said, what Trustee Mishner has said, and all the others as well. And we, although are not as far advanced in Northville here in terms of having equity inclusion groups within the library, we are kind of looking to Novi and the efforts that you are doing, and we are, looking at doing things in Northville as well. So I just want to let you know, people outside of the community are also watching and listening to what you do as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you everyone for sharing. Number 14, matters for board action. We'll start out with A, which is on page 48. This is a statement from Trustee Mishner.
Unmuted. Okay. So this is what I came up with. My thought, the criticisms that I heard was just that we want to make sure that we're not unacknowledging the things that we've already done. So I'm going to basically go through line through line with you what I tried to accomplish, and then maybe I can read it all as a whole so you can hear how it actually sounds, if that's okay with you. So our motto at the Novi Public Library is inform, inspire, include. So I thought that was really important to make sure our motto is top. If our motto is inform, inspire, include, it makes sense that we would put out a statement like this, right? We have felt the need to stress this as we acknowledge the horrific murder of George Floyd and the need to address the pain and systemic oppression that the Black community has experienced historically. So what that does is it acknowledges the event that led us to actually having these conversations. And, I just want to, Melissa brought this to us, right? Like Melissa, Kat, so these are the reasons why we're having these conversations, because of that murder, that horrific murder. That was the catalyst that made us think, ooh, what can we do? Communities around us were doing a lot. Groups around us were doing a lot. Steve Matthews put out like a statement that week, then sent it to all the parents, and it was super cool to see that and to see him say Black Lives Matter as a great superintendent. So acknowledging that murder, and then addressing the pain and systemic oppression that the Black community has experienced historically. So like putting that in there too, of course. We do believe that Black Lives Matter. That's not saying we belong to any organizations. That's saying that we believe that Black people matter, okay? Because there was question marks about like, are you trying to be in an organization? We're not. We have created diversity-based events for education, entertainment, and awareness for our patrons. And we have recently added an equity committee to our board to explore how we can continue to serve our patrons and meet the needs of our entire community at large, while making sure that we seek to continue to understand the needs of those who have been marginalized. So just in that, we have created diversity-based events for education. We've noted those today, right? So Gail's put together some incredible events. It sounds like people are watching them. Some of the people that called in mentioned watching them. It's awesome. We have wording on that with correspondence, which is great. And I attended some of them myself, and I was really impressed. As I mentioned, we need to actually follow what the people say. And I don't think that we are. I don't think that we are always doing what they instruct us to do when they talk. So I think we have to go a step before. We have to educate ourselves, but we have to also make sure that we're doing the work that these speakers are telling us to do, instead of just saying we have a speaker in. And that education part, I really want to underline, because,
Kat did mention a little bit about, really being in line with what our purpose is. The cool thing is that I got really motivated after my presidency was over last year to learn more about what am I supposed to be doing as a trustee instead of just letting someone tell me. Julie's great at sharing information, and I think I took advantage of that to the point where I wasn't educated myself. Give a person a fish, and I saw that my colleagues, when I talked to them at MLA, were doing a lot more than me. They were more educated than me, my other trustees. I learned that this is my job. The things that I'm doing, I know some people are like, you're going too far. I'm not, actually. Look it up. It's actually in, the library information. And that's why I shared that packet, because I think I'm doing what we're supposed to do. And I'm not calling anyone else to do it, but I figure if I'm doing the work, I can share it. So everything I'm doing, I'm trying to be in line with the library industry and those that I meet at different conferences. The Library of Michigan, Claire is a great resource that came and talked to us. So I'm trying, this isn't my job. I don't want to be a librarian, although I think you guys are great. But I do need to know what I'm doing here, and my job isn't to govern staff. We're responsible for one person, right? Just Julie. So education, super important. I take that personally. Entertainment, we've done some things with that. And then awareness for our patrons. And we have recently added an equity committee to our board to explore how we can continue to serve our patrons. So not stopping at the things that we've done, but noting that, hey, we've had progress here. We added an equity committee, cool, since this has happened. So I think that's forward progress as well, to meet the needs of our entire community at large. And I hear a lot about the staff, but we have to remember our staff is important. But remember, our staff is a part of the goal, right? Our community at large should be served. So that's important. I want to make sure that that's mentioned. And then while making sure that we seek to continue to understand the needs of those who have been marginalized. So there's a lot of marginalization that's happened. Unfortunately, since I wrote this statement, there's been another murder, more than one, and some horrific things happening in our world. And I hope it stops, but I think what we're seeing is that the need is great. And it's really sad and it's disheartening, because the terrible thing is, like, this says George Floyd, but could we look at it like a month from now and it says somebody else's name, and then someone else's name, and then maybe my name, and maybe my son's name, and maybe my brother's name, or maybe my dad's name. I don't think I'm absent from being a target for things like this when you look at some of the people that have been murdered. So I just think we have to look at that. I'm a part of the, systemic issue, even if I'm educated, even if I'm wealthy, or, to some, right? So throwing all that out there. That was my thought in putting this together. Now I'll read it so you hear it, okay? Our motto at the Novi Public Library is inform, inspire, include. We have felt the need to stress this as we acknowledge the horrific murder of George Floyd and the need to address the pain and systemic oppression that the Black community has experienced historically. We do believe that Black Lives Matter. We have created diversity-based events for education, entertainment, and awareness for our patrons, and we have recently added an equity committee to our board to explore how we can continue to serve our patrons and meet the needs of our entire community at large, while making sure that we seek to continue to understand the needs of those who have been marginalized. So that's my statement that I'm putting out for board approval.
Thank you for sharing. I'm going to open it up for discussion, comments before we move forward with a possible motion. I'm going to continue with my stand and align with Trustee Dooley that to me, actions are much louder than words. And with our strategic goals, which is 1, empower universal literacy, 2, escalate an innovative and inclusive culture, and number 3, enhance core interactions within our diverse community. To me, that is our statement and that is our action plan. So that is my feeling on that. I do thank you, Trustee Mishner. I appreciate you hearing us and listening to everything we say. And I do think it is a very nice statement. I just don't feel that it is something at this moment that we need to put out there. And that's my thoughts. Do anybody else want to comment before? Trustee?
Hi, excuse me. All right, so first and foremost, I want to thank the Equity and Inclusion Committee for their work, and Trustee Missioner for coming up with this statement that you have brought to us today, and for everything that the committee, that this committee has done to research and look into how we can formulate a statement that represents our library's goals and missions. So I do think that the statement that Trustee Missioner has brought to us does a good job overall, listing our mission and some of the things that we've done this summer to combat anti-racist initiatives. Just had a couple questions, but just based on the wording, comments. Just as Trustee Missioner mentioned, that since she wrote the statement, there unfortunately has been additional murders. So I'm wondering, is it necessary to mention George Floyd's name in the statement? And the only reason I say that is because unfortunately there's so many that have happened just recently since the summer and the past few years, especially, that's brought up late. So should we just broaden that to mention just systematic racism in general, that kind of thing? And then also, so it's like the big question I have. Sorry, I wrote some notes. I'm trying to put it all together. So I guess my thought this week, I was reading Trustee Missioner's statement, and I was kind of going back and forth, like, is a statement necessary 3 months after George Floyd's death, which is really what kicked this all off, I would say, or really ramped it up. Listening to all the comments this evening, I'm not opposed to having a statement at this point, but I do believe that if we do go that route and actually come up and put out a statement, is that we need to make sure that we are mentioning all the initiatives that we are doing to combat anti-racism already, such as, again, mentioning the Let's Talk Racism series and whatnot, the formation of the Equity and Inclusion Committee, and then also, I know, like, what I keep mentioning this every meeting, is I look at what other libraries around us have done, and they've also included a list of different resources. Since the library is an educational hub, we should be able to list some of our books, movies, those kind of things, and databases, or that people can educate themselves more on the matter at hand. So I think if we were to go with the mission, that is important to include the initiatives we're doing and the offerings that we have, and any commitments that we have, which was mentioned, I think, a lot last month, that it does line up with our strategic plan. A lot of the commitments that we originally brought up does fit into the broad strategic plans, which we do review every 3 years. And that could be something the Equity and Inclusion Committees oversees, is just making sure that we do follow those and we do have initiatives that meet those strategic goals regularly. So whatever we decide as a whole, sorry, I'm taking a lot of time here, but whatever we decide as a whole, whether we go with a statement or not, or however we proceed with this, I want to make sure that it's known that that we didn't waste our entire summer doing this. I think having all this discussion and research information was really eye-opening, just to show what we do at the library, where we have room for improvement. Like, we've already have planned a diversity audit of our materials. We mentioned this in the HR committee. We changed our applicant system just so we can expand our horizon of the applicants we're recruiting for our to work in our libraries, to represent our community. So I just wanted to put those statements on the record. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Anyone else comment or discussion? All right, I will request a motion to approve the statement provided by Trustee Tara Missioner. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yeah. Do you make the motion, or should I make the motion? I'm sorry.
No, I'm requesting someone to make a first motion.
Oh, okay, thank you. I would like to make a motion.
Okay, yeah, no, I'm requesting a motion too. Yeah, and do I have a second? All right, unfortunately, the motion wasn't passed at this time. All right, thank you though, Trustee Missioner, for all your thoughts and all your time, because I know you are very busy. Approval for the library van replacement schedule for every 7 years. Julie?
about that. Yes, so I received some information from Michael Radigan. He's the fleet asset manager for the city of Novi. And as you know, we purchased our van this year through the city, working with them. He wanted to let me know that typically the city keeps a vehicle 7 years. And then as you can see from the information he provided, then it goes up for sale, and then that money goes towards a new vehicle. We've never been on a plan like that. And that's why I'm looking for clarification tonight, and if possible, an approval if the board is comfortable to be on a 7-year plan, so that we can plan accordingly to the future and know that we will change our van and purchase new in 7 years and keep with the current way that the fleet manager and the city system works when it comes to vehicles. Or does the board wish just to go on its own, wait and see, and not be part of that decision making at this time? It'll help me for planning purposes over the next few years when it comes to financials, if I have this answer now.
Do you think that's something the finance committee should discuss it, or is it something that should be discussed and voted today? I'm not sure. I'm asking.
I'm happy to move it to finance if we want, and if anyone feels like there's more clarification, more information needed. I didn't have any more clarification or information that I needed. Basically, I saw Mike's information. I appreciate, the city keeping relations with us and letting us know what their typical process is, and if we were to be buying through them, how they do that. But of course, it is our van. And so, depending on how the board would want, to move forward is completely fine. I'm just looking for some direction.
I guess I would be curious if, we don't drive the van like normal people, probably 10 to 12,000 miles. So like, what if in 7 years it still has low miles and still has value? So I guess those would be questions. Any other thoughts or questions?
If the more clarification sounds good, just to understand a little bit more about it, like maybe if there's more information we can have, so that way we can bring it back next month for a vote. Is that possible?
What is it that you're looking for clarification? If I can just have some information to provide.
I don't know. I want to understand more. That's what I'm trying to share. I if there's more that you can share about it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I guess I would be, like I said, what if 7 years it's still in great shape? Do we turn it in? Or,
you do. It's if we follow the process the city has, it's turn the van over in 7 years, a new van is purchased. That money towards the sale goes towards the new purchase of the van. That's how it's written. That's how I understand it. Yes.
So then it still has a pretty high residual value. So waiting for 10 years when it's even less in the rust, and okay, that makes sense. I guess I wasn't.
They will help us sell it and things like that. But if we choose to go, they know that we make decisions sometimes differently. So he wanted to pose that to us. Do you want to follow currently what the city does in terms of vehicle owning? That's what the word I was looking for. And that being 7 years, which is the process they follow, or do we want to go on our own?
Trustee Wood, could I ask, since you're head of finance committee, to maybe share some thoughts?
I think it's appropriate to let's have a discussion in the finance committee just to look at what the impact is, because this is just kind of coming to us right here at the end. I think, to look at what this really means, and I agree with Trustee Mishner. Let's get a little bit more information and then bring this back to the board maybe next month.
Fabulous. And I'll put together then a meeting. If you can, I know that finance is Trustee Wood, Trustee Mesernick, and Trustee Lawler. If you could provide me some questions or thoughts so that I can get more information for you, I'd be happy to do that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and then C, Julie, you wanted to discuss kind of what Juneteenth will look like and what that means, and what as a board, what we were thinking for planning purposes.
So the approval was for us to be closed on June 19th. I want to make sure that I understood that. There's been no information shared with the staff that we would have an in-service day. It was floated around, and it actually was brought up at the meeting when this first came up, because this came up so quickly and was decided on right at the meeting without it really being on, it wasn't on the agenda. So I was taken off guard and, by it in order to plan appropriately and to ask questions. I just need clarification from the board is if and when the approval of this June 19th, it is for the overhead. Sorry, everyone. I can't think and hear it at the same time. I apologize. But I'm just looking for clarification. As I look at the calendar for the next 2 years, it'll fall on the weekend. It'll be closed on the weekend. There was some conversation of, well, if it was during the weekdays, would that be an opportunity to use it as an in-service day and, do some work with the staff? But I'm open to, however, I just needed clarification. Does the board want to keep it as a completely closed day? Always doesn't matter on the day of the week, because we do have some days where we're open and not, depending on the day of the week and how it falls. We've made decisions like that on calendars. And so that's what I'm looking for, some clarification. There was no information that went to the staff that I've shared that it could be an actual, training day at this point. It's been thought about, and I wanted to make sure I just get clarification. Thank you.
Trustee Wood.
Just a clarification, yeah, I agree. It did come up quickly, with the vote and everything, but I do think it was the right thing to do. I don't think it really did take a whole lot of thought to prove that. But for example, July 4th, if it were to occur on a weekday, I'm just going to ask you, it would be considered a holiday for the employees also, right?
Yes, it's a national holiday, yes.
Yeah. I think we should follow and align with that it's not just a library closing, it's a holiday we're going to celebrate. That's my opinion here. Again, as I've said in past meetings, I think there's certain things we need to lead in. I was a little surprised with well, maybe I shouldn't make any comments, but me personally, I stand by the vote that we had. I thought it was a great proposal to do this, and I do think we celebrate it as a holiday.
Thank you. Trustee Dooley?
I also am support for the holiday. I think that, in light of everything that the community has learned, I support the idea of us taking Juneteenth off and having the staff taking it off. Leading up to Juneteenth, though, I just wanted to suggest that maybe that's when the programming should take place. So the actual Juneteenth day is celebrated just like July 4th, but up until that time, that would be where people are educated about why this holiday is important. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Trustee Mister? Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'm grateful for the past two speakers. I was surprised to see this actually on Matters for Board Action, because I think when it did come up, the same question got asked. There was a comparison made in June to MLK Day. And I clarified at that point that, it's really important to look at Juneteenth like you would look at 4th of July. And this is where we talk about equity. This is what equity is. This is empathy for our Black community members. They weren't free on July 4th, unfortunately. They should have been, but they weren't. And even some people 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation were still slaves. So Juneteenth is a celebration for a reason, and it's a celebration where people don't typically sit in the library, although we love libraries, that's why we're here. They barbecue, they go on trips, they drink a beer if that's what they do, right? Because this is very similar to 4th of July. Some people don't even celebrate 4th of July in addition, just to clarify. So I guess I was confused as to why it even came up, since we already approved it unanimously in June. It felt disheartening to see it here. I will say,
not meant that way.
I'd like to finish. Please,
actually me looking for clarification because I misunderstood. It was my misunderstanding. So I apologize for that.
I promise I won't filibuster. I just want to finish what I have to say.
I just wanted you to know that I apologize because it was my misunderstanding. So that there doesn't need to be approval. I'm getting clarification.
I just want to finish because I feel like I can't do that tonight for whatever reason. And I don't see that happening to other people. And it's just
my apology.
It's bothering me. It's not fair, actually. Okay. So, and I'm trying my best, guys, because I want to be fair. So where it says if the date falls on a Saturday, Sunday, would the library be closed? If the date falls on a weekday, can it be used as a staff training day? I only bring that up because you mentioned, I don't know where staff training day came from, but this is a public notice and it went out and it says staff training day. Specific to DEI initiatives or remain closed. We don't have any, I mean, I'm hoping that some of the initiatives I put out get approved, but I don't know if they will. We don't have any DEI initiatives right now. There's none, and they keep getting shot down. So I guess what I would share is that I would really hate to bank this on some ambiguous thing that won't happen, that we just keep talking about and push to the next month until someone else feels differently. I want to be able to say that. You know, as a trustee, I think I do have a voice and I want to be able to mention that. I think it's really important. And it's my goal to be respectful to everybody. I think you guys are all smart. I love being here, you know, but I do want to be able to be heard. And there's been a couple times tonight where I haven't been. So I do want to at least be able to finish my statement. It's so hard to get cut off every time you talk. So those are the things I wanted to mention. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I think then, unless anybody wants to not have it, thank you, Julie, for bringing that, just for clarification for you. But I think we'll leave it as we initially voted, and then that will be a day off for everybody.
Thank you.
For the library.
Great. Thank you very much for the clarification.
Okay, perfect. All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'm sorry. Were we not going to look into the Spectrum Scholarship or the BCALA? Was that not something that we were considering?
I think that's what Julie is doing. She's looking into that to see if that's even an option, because I know the Friends have a scholarship. So I don't know if we can do a scholarship with public money. So I'm not sure, but did you know the Friends do a scholarship every year?
It's the library. It's a library organization. So for the library industry, I'm pretty sure we could do it because it's.
I think before we can discuss, I think we need to have more information about what that means, what that looks like. So I think that's what Julie is putting together.
But it's in the packet. Like, that's why I gave all the information last month. So everybody had it. And I did mention I would be putting it forward for consideration. And I asked for it to be for a vote. All the information's there. I mean,
I apologize. I misunderstood completely. So I apologize that it was supposed to be a vote. I guess that would be our finance committee to look at that, and because that is a finance thing, to see if it's part of our budget or if we want to look at it for next budget. So that would be a finance committee discussion. Is that correct?
Are you asking me?
No, Julie, she was on mute.
I'm sorry. Yes, I will look into it and then I can bring it to the finance committee. I'm happy to.
Okay, so when you talk about the van, then we'll have it presented and we'll put it on as a vote. So once we get the information.
Will do. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry, Trustee Mishner. That was my complete misunderstanding. So I do sincerely apologize.
Thank you.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.